What's up, everyone? So, yesterday I was listening to a lecture type thing. Well, now I'm listening to a lecture, but yesterday was just a regular video from London Real on... Actually, it wasn't London Real, but I found this guy Bruce Lipton by watching London Real, and I was watching another video of his, and he was talking about so this guy's a cellular biologist, and he's talking about this thing you can do where you put cells into a petri dish, right? So you put two different cells, so you put two same types of cells into two separate petri dishes, and in one petri dish you put nutrients, and in the other petri dish you put toxins. So if you leave the cells and then you come back the next day, you take a look at each petri dish. In the petri dish with the nutrients, the cells have engulfed themselves around this nutrient so that they can absorb the nutrients. And in the toxic petri dish, the cells have gone to the other end of the petri dish to stay as far away from the toxins as possible, and they've gone into a protective state. So you've got cells on one hand in the toxic area where they're going into a protective state, where they're not growing, and they're trying to protect themselves from sickness. And then you've got the other end of the spectrum where you put nutrients in and they're in a growth state, they're growing and they're proliferating. And then he said that that cells can't do both at the same time. That if you put nutrients and toxins in the same petri dish as the cells, they're not going to do anything. They're not going to be in a protection state, but they're not going to be in a growth state either. It's just this neutral state. So I think I came up with a really fun analogy just for life, and I thought it was interesting and I wanted to share it. So I thought that was a really cool perspective. So I started trying to think of how I can, a way that I can explain this in a fun way, in a simpler way. So this may not be simpler, but it's definitely more fun. So I was thinking of like a slide. Imagine a slide where you've got the top, you've got the middle, and then you've got the bottom. So we'll say that at the bottom of the slide is a pit of quicksand, right? So let's say that you're at the top. It may take some effort to stay at the top. You're pretty high up. You might have to balance yourself. You can stand or sit there. And you've got stresses in your life. Stresses are the kids behind you telling you to fucking go. You don't need to listen to those kids. You can stay there all you want, and you can be a dick to the stresses and just ignore them, right? And you can enjoy yourself being at the top. So it takes a little bit of effort to stay at the top once you're there, right? Well, let's say the stresses get to you. Let's say that they convince you to go down the slide. So you start to go down, and then let's say you change your mind. You stop yourself halfway down. You know how kids can like push their hands and feet against the edges of the slide, and they'll stop themselves. So they stop themselves halfway. From there, I think there's three options. The most difficult being you can climb back up to the top, which takes a lot of effort. The second option being you can just let yourself slide down, right? But climbing back up is hard because you're going against gravity. You're going against the slide. That's why it's hard to climb up. You can slide down really easily because gravity is pulling you down, and that's where the slide wants you to go. Or you can stay in the middle. You can put a lot of effort into staying in the middle. You can hold yourself until your arms and legs give out, and then you'll end up sliding down anyways. let's say you slide all the way down to the bottom. You slide down and your feet, no, that's terrible. You slide down and your feet are now in the quicksand. So once you get to the bottom, you don't have to put a lot of effort into staying there. That's why people in life stay at the bottom. Because they don't have to put effort into staying there. It's comfortable. Haven't you ever sat at the bottom of a slide? It's comfy as shit. You don't have to do anything. You're already at the bottom. There's nowhere to go. And it's really hard to climb back up, which is why most people don't. People will climb up halfway and then slide back down because it's so fucking hard. But once you get to the top, you have to put in just a little bit of effort to stay there. It's hardest on the way up, but once you get there, you just have to put in a little bit of effort. You don't have to work so fucking hard to get there anymore when you get there, because you're there. Now, back to the bottom. The longer you stay at the bottom, with your feet in this quicksand, the harder it's going to be to get out. The longer you stay there, the more you're going to sink. The more this sand is going to absorb you. Not that that's what quicksand does, but you know. And eventually, you'll get to the point where you can't get out by yourself. Or it's just going to be extremely difficult to get out by yourself. In that case, you're going to need a group of people. A person, or more ideally a few people, to help pull you out and to help you back onto the slide so that you can start climbing up. And yeah, so I just thought that was a really interesting analogy, and I wanted to share it with everybody. So yeah, do with that what you will. Peace.